never wrote in my daily life when I was a student, a child. And when I began to see that the students I was working with were acting in very similar ways to the ways that I acted when I was a student, I realized that I had to write with them. I had to do this with them. They had to see that I too believed in what we were doing, so much so that it was part of who I was.
I think encouraging teachers to write is probably the hardest thing that we have to do. And when I've tried to think about it and why that is, I think part of it is in elementary education, they don't have classes in how to teach writing. They have language arts classes that are often focused on grammar or cute activities to get kids to write or cute prompts to get them to write. But the teachers often have never had a writing class since freshman comp.
If I don't write, I think it's hard for me to promote a kind of passion for writing. And if they think they're just writing for me and I don't do any of it, that's sort of two messages I'm sending them. So I think if I want them to enjoy writing, then they have to see me enjoy it too. Now, I got an idea from my writer's notebook when I was writing, and right here, this is what sparked the idea for me. I wrote this on Monday. I didn't go home this weekend to see my mom. I miss her. I talked to her on the phone, but that's not the same. Every time I go home, she makes fried potatoes and tortillas. We talk, we laugh, we share memories of my grandma. So I decided, and I missed her so bad that I thought, you know what, I think I want to write her a paper. I want to write a paper about her cooking, okay? So this gave me the idea. And let me show you my mind map, or my web, I'm sorry. And here's what my web looked like. So I copied it bigger so you guys can see what I wrote. But when you're making your web today, I want you to also add these pieces. I put audience. For my paper, my audience is my mom. Okay, I'm gonna give it to her when I go see her Saturday. What is my purpose? Why am I going to write it? I want her to know I enjoy her fried potatoes and tortillas. I put FP for fried potatoes and T for tortillas. And how I feel. I want her to know that. So I took some time. This didn't come right away. I had to really think about it. It wasn't fast. So I really worked on my web. And I put, one of my favorite meals. I really enjoyed that meal as a little girl. We ate it a lot in my grandma's hogan. It made me think of my grandmother. How I felt, not like feeling something, but how I felt in my heart. I felt close. I felt love. I felt family. I felt safe. These are the words that came to my mind. Then I wrote about the potatoes. I love it when it's crispy and brown on the outside, and then inside it's soft and tender. Her tortillas are nice and thin and soft, and she can make it perfectly round, my mom. She's really good at it. So I wanted to be sure I tell her that. Usually when I have fried potatoes and tortillas, she'll either serve me Navajo tea or I drink a can of pop. And I just love that all together. And then when we eat together, we talk. We laugh. And then I put this here, but I don't know if I'm going to add it to my paper. But it's where on the weekends, now that I'm a grown-up, I stay over here. You know how like you guys are at the dorm, some of you, and you go home on the weekends? That's kind of sort of how it is for me too. My mom is in Gallup, and I'm over here. When I go see her, it's on the weekends. So I put where, and I put the weekends, and I put mom's cooking. So I took a while in writing this because I was thinking about my audience. And I wanted to make sure, over here, I wanted to make sure that what I said fulfilled my purpose. When she reads this paper, I want her to know how I really feel about her cooking, okay? So here's my draft. And I called it Fried Potatoes and Tortillas. One of my favorite meals is fried potatoes and tortillas. It has been my favorite home-cooked meal ever since I was a little girl. I love it best when my mom makes it. She makes it for me every time I go home on the weekends. I love how brown and crispy the potatoes and onions are on the outside and soft and tender on the inside. Mom's tortillas are perfectly round and thin. I love eating it with her. We laugh and we talk. I feel loved. I feel safe. Fried potatoes and tortillas make me think of my grandma's house. My grandma and my mom would cook fried potatoes and tortillas together. We would sit on the floor of the hogan. I would spread the blanket in the middle of the floor, and we would eat from the same pan with no forks, just the bread. Fried potatoes and tortillas make me think of family. I feel the happiness of being with people I love, and that's what my mom's fried potatoes and tortillas make me feel. Okay? Do you think she'll believe that?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I hope so, because I made sure I use these words to really describe what I'm feeling and what I want to say. In my elementary years, writing has always been hard because we focus so much on conventions. So I wasn't so much concerned about what I was saying, but just making sure I had a capital at the beginning of my sentence, that I used words that I could spell, and that there was a period. And it hurt me later on. I don't know how I got through high school because, I didn't write from the heart. And I think to really get good at something, it has to come from the heart, and writing is the same way.
I try to help teachers understand that to teach writing and to not write yourself is like having a plumber who comes to your house and diagnoses the problem. He looks at your sink and he says, "Oh, I know exactly what's wrong." And you ask him to fix it, and he asks to borrow your tools. I mean, you probably wouldn't put much stock in his work if he didn't have his own tools. So I say to my teachers often that if you are a teacher of writing who does not write, then you are like a plumber who does not plumb and who does not carry his own tools. Okay, and I think it's important for you to have your own.
I share a lot of my own writing that I do with them. I share a lot of the writing I have to do for my graduate classes and explain to them that, at my age, half a century old, and I'm still writing. I've taught writing for several years, but I had this revelation. It's like, wow, I've got to share this with my kids. So I really, when I teach writing, I know exactly what they're going through as far as their fears, their emotions. They're going to be wrong. They're going to say the wrong answer. So I understand this, and it's made me a better writing teacher.
Personally, I try to do some writing and reflecting on just different things that happen. If I have a day at teaching and things just don't go smooth, a lot of times I'll go to my journal and jot down some things that happen and try to reflect on why it happened and what should have happened, what will happen next time, that kind of thing. So I've used writing in my own personal life more as a tool that helps me think through. And I share that with the kids because they think that, adults don't write.
But remember I said I had something special for you that I was going to share with you today? You each have a writer's notebook. And I have one too.
What is that? Oh, no.
This is my writer's notebook. This is mine. Now, I have writing in there. Of course, I'm not going to read everything because some things we're just not going to share. But I have writing in my writing notebook.
Well, I shared my own poetry today as a motivator for the students. First of all, to let them see that as a writer, it's not easy, no matter whether you're an adult or a child. And I wanted them to be able to walk with me through what I had to do so that they could understand better that it doesn't just happen. It just doesn't end up on the page the way you want it to. You actually have to go through several phases of writing before you get to something that you're happy with. When they see that I had to go through, a struggle or several steps to get where I wanted to go, that helps give them, I think, a sense of comfort and ease about their own writing.
This was a story that I wrote. And then I looked at that story more closely and decided, I think I want to try to make a poem from this story since we're studying poetry. I'm going to read my story to you. It's not real long, but I just want to kind of read it through so you can see how it started. Tonight is a difficult night, more difficult than usual. Joseph refuses to go to sleep. Why? Does he feel okay? I felt his head. He's not warm. He's fine, I guess, just so sleepy. He's fighting sleep with all his might tonight. He's yelling, screaming, wailing, squealing, crying his eyes out. He won't lay down. He's jumping up and down in the bed, holding onto the rail. Wow, he's jumping pretty high. Why won't he stop? When will he stop? I'm so tired. I want to go to bed. I want to go to sleep. I'm getting a little frustrated. All I can do is heavy sighs. Oh, I'm getting a headache. What should I do? I try to comfort him. Should I pick him up? No, then he'll never go to sleep. Not in his own bed. He'd cry every time I'd lay him down. I know it. Maybe I can turn on music. He likes music. He likes those lullabies. Yeah, that's a great idea. While he listens, I'll pat him on the back to comfort him while he's laying in his bed. I'm sure he'll calm down then, at least soon. He's finally drifting off to sleep. His eyes are getting heavy and droopy. He's lying in the bed quietly. Oh my, he's actually going to sleep. Finally, peace and quiet. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm happy he's finally sound asleep. He's getting his rest. So now we're both satisfied. So that was my little story. That was it. Now, I decided as I looked at this.
What was Joseph inside of it?
Why was he inside of it? Because that was the moment in my life that I decided to write some things down.
Miss Riley, did you write that at your house?
Yes, at my house. Now, this is my homework. So I went through my story and decided on some key words. If you've noticed, I have circled some words that I felt were important words in my story. And then I wanted to take those words and I just wrote them over here. And that doesn't look much like a poem, does it? Nah, not yet. So then I started using those words and started trying to make a poem. So I got words kind of all over the place. Still not happy with it, still not really a poem. So then I went back in with the words here, and then I started putting it into a poem. And as you see, I have all of this. What is this? Space. So a lot of times in poems we have space, right? And the words that I used are those descriptive words. Could you almost hear Joseph yelling and screaming? Could you almost hear it? Because I was just going on and on about wailing and screaming and squealing. So you could almost hear it. I'm going to read through my poem and we're going to walk through.